Greetings and salutations. You are listening to Mama Rue's Ancestral Musings. This is a podcast about all things Blackness with an ancestral point of view. This is going to be a topic that stems from a conversation I had earlier this morning with a fellow worker, spiritual worker. Shout out to Marie de Carolina. If you haven't been following her on Facebook, please go there now. Friend her, follow her. She has some great information on her page pertaining to the practices of root culture. But this morning, we were having a conversation about ancestors. She had a post that said, not all ancestors deserve a space on your altar. And this is something that I think I've talked about before and with others individually in private. There are people who have concerns about honoring bloodline ancestors who played a part in things that were abusive to them personally. Okay, we're talking fathers or grandfathers, maybe even great-grandfathers in this case. Okay, now when I talk about bloodline ancestors, I'm not talking about all your relatives. I'm speaking of specifically individuals that are in your line. Okay, this is specific to parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, and beyond. Okay, we're not talking about the brothers or sisters of the parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and beyond. Not them. Just your descendant, that broken line, that broken blood line that made you possible. Your uncles and your aunties didn't have a hand in making you possible, but somebody's parents did. Your parents, their grandparents, their great-grandparents, and on like that. So when we're dealing with a parent, mother or father, that was abusive toward you in life, and now they have passed on, you're not going to be feeling any type of, positivity with regard to honoring them or venerating them ancestrally. Okay? So to this I say, there are ways to do it. Okay. One sister, shout out to Rich DeTerra of the Nine Minds podcast. She did a really beautiful healing ceremony on behalf of family that have this kind of issue going on. Okay. That is a great way to reconcile. That's what turns you from victim to survivor. You understand? Because if we're going to stay in the box of victimhood, then you're never going to be able to get past that abuse. You're never going to be able to deal with the ancestors from the position of a victim. But once you become a survivor and you are now operating from a place of healing, there's a lot to be said for those individuals with regard to the disposition towards their ancestors. Okay, so depending on where you are on the spectrum will determine your feelings, will determine your attitude and disposition about how you navigate your bloodline ancestors when it comes to veneration. Okay, and the healing ceremonies are a wonderful, beautiful way with which to reconcile that. Now, when we talk about the things that we didn't experience firsthand at the hands of others, parents, grandparents, great-grands, and on like that, but we may have heard stories from other individuals like siblings, cousins, nieces, nephews about these individuals. We have to be very, 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 very careful, okay? Because people will lie. People will falsely accuse. Let me give you an example, okay? A woman was married to a man, had biological children with this man, and that's real. The woman may have had an affair with another man outside of the marriage and got pregnant. And this child is raised into believing that the husband is their biological father. And of course, I'm speaking of a time where we didn't have those nice little neat DNA parentage tests. Okay, we didn't have Ancestry.com or any of those other little things that we can utilize to elicit the truth of parentage and bloodline. We just have to take a person's word for some things. Okay, so imagine this person is growing up believing that this person, this man, the mother's wife, is their biological father. Okay, so now they're at the point where they're honoring their ancestors and the parents have passed on, right? And so they're honoring someone that had no hand in the bloodline connection to this person. They didn't play a part in the transmission of the biology that made them exist. Okay? You see how that goes? And this is all based on what? Somebody didn't tell the truth. And a lot of times, some people will, later in life, will own up to the things that they lie about. And other individuals will take these lies and secrets to the grave. Okay? So sometimes I do readings where a male energy that's real strong comes through and they like a particular thing, they look a particular kind of way, or a female energy comes through and they like specific things and they're dressed a certain way or fancy a certain, they have a specific thing about them that can be identified. And the client has no clue who that person is. Okay. And sometimes I get a little bit of a whisper to tell them, who this is. But I'm also getting don't say anything. So the only thing I can tell a client is you need to talk to your family members because there's something that they need you to know, but they're telling me not to tell you. Okay? Because that can be traumatic. Okay? It can be stressful. It can be painful. They're telling me she needs to or he needs to find this out on his own time. Talk to the family, talk to the neighbors, on and on like that, because sometimes it could be the actual bloodline relative that's trying to let you know, I'm here. I had a hand in making you. And everything you've known isn't really what it was. Now, that's kind of an extreme example, but it's a real one, okay? People do it. I'm not saying everybody in your family is a liar. I'm not saying, I'm just saying people have lied. I personally know of a young lady who was involved with a young man that her father did not approve of. Okay. And he confronted the young man and threatened the young man, stay away from my child. His daughter didn't appreciate that at all. Okay. She was convinced that the father was wrong. And so to punish the father, she went and on this campaign, a smear campaign against him, and told people that her father was molesting her. And she did it to hurt him. And a lot of people believed it. And they went after his ass for that. And it wasn't true. Okay? He was able to clear his name of that lie. But what would have happened if no one got that? What would have happened if he hadn't been able to clear his name? Okay? What would have happened if everyone believed this about this man up until he passed? Okay? Based on hearsay. People are going to believe a lie based on one person, their word. And now people are shutting him out of ancestral veneration because they want to believe that he did something bad to his own child. And she later admitted it. Okay, decades later, she did confess that it had not been true, and she was very sorry about it. Okay, and people were very mad at her, the ones who believed her anyway. They took her word for it because there were people who believed the man. But this is a real thing I'm talking about. Okay? But my whole thing is people will lie. A lot of individuals carry on in life looking like good, upstanding, righteous individuals. And they too will go to their grave with secrets of fuck shit, dirty deeds, wickedry, chaos. But no one was ever the wiser to call them on it, because they hid that part about them really, really well. Okay, up to just not being shitty ass individuals. I'm talking about people who could have also been downright criminals, had criminal deeds, and they went to their grave with no one knowing the wiser. But because everybody only knows their good representative, okay, they're only familiar with the representative of this person, they're going to put them on the altar out of what? Ignorance of the truth, right? So we have to be very careful how we navigate this ancestral veneration thing. That's why I say to all my ancestors, known and unknown, seen and unseen, who made me possible, period. Period. If one of those ancestors was a crook, criminal, thief, rapist, liar, molester, whether it is known or unknown to me, that's where it stops. Okay? Now, we want to get into the personal nuances of specific ancestors because they had a gift for certain things. They had a disposition for certain things. Okay? That's a different story. Now we're going into the realm of conjuration, because another thing that was brought up in the conversation on social media early this morning is that the ancestral altar is a portal and all kind of, nastiness can come through. That is not true, people. Okay, I've seen people who practice a specific tradition, a diaspora tradition, who perpetuate that. That's how they teach. That's how they get down. That's how they believe. In my 30-some years of ancestral veneration, nothing other than my own bloodline ancestors have come through. And even some ancestors that are in my ancestral line have not come through. Why? I am of the belief that the white person that raped my great-great-grandmother ain't allowed. And it wasn't because I say don't allow him. It's because the other ancestors said we holding him back. Okay, we sending him on down yonder because he ain't getting none of that good. All right, all them libations you pouring, that food you laying out for us, them fruits and things, these gifts, that tobacco, the snuff, whatever the case may be, he can't have none of that. Okay? They are the ones that put the brakes on that one coming through. You understand me? Because a lot of us, we only center ourselves when it comes to certain aspects of spirituality. And that's a mistake. We don't give the spirits any credit at all. We think we're the ones that are pulling the strings behind everything that they do or can and can't do. And that is a very short-sighted, wrong, arrogant way of dealing with spirits, especially your ancestors. They have their own way of dealing with things in their realm. If someone was a nasty, dirty, no good, abusive son of a bitch, you got to know that they are going to handle it in the realm. All right? You're not by yourself. You're not out here on your own suffering with bad memories of trauma and pain and abuse. Trust and believe your ancestors will have your back and deal with that person accordingly. But what you need to do is move from victim to survivor and get to the place of healing. This isn't a place of being judge and executioner and none of that stuff, because like I said, the ancestors are already working that shit out in the spiritual realm. But what you need to do for the living is very important. Okay? So getting back to this portal of nonsense. Oh, all these low grade, low vibrational spirits is going to come through your ancestors. No. Nope. Because those are not ancestors. Okay? Those are not ancestors. Not always. Now, I did an episode some while back titled Them Hates. And I was specifically talking about these earthbound spirits. I really don't like to call them low vibrational. I think that's just really a bad way to describe these spirits. And I kind of clarified what I meant by that in the episode, but I'll repeat it here. Imagine that you're a young person living at a time where the way that you look made you a target for abuse because of the color of your skin. and you're just trying to survive, and you're trying to take care of what's yours, and somebody snuffed your life out, okay, while you're in